welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Samantha. I'm into makeup and bad jokes and maybe some commentary. I would love it if you would subscribe, watch my videos, stick around, all that good stuff if you do feel so inclined. I think this is the earliest I have ever filmed a video, and I believe it's the earliest I've been up in a while, relative to like when I need to actually be up. I have my internship at in 45 minutes from now, so hopefully I can bang this video out before then. But today we're just going to be doing my quick 10-minute makeup routine that I don't necessarily wear on an everyday basis, but when I want to just throw on makeup, this is what I do. It's like when you want to try but also don't want to try at the same time, featuring a review of the Fenty Beauty powder foundation because I purchased this for the sake of like doing this type of makeup. So my skin has been very textured recently, so I'm going to use the e.l.f. Poreless Putty Primer to just prime. I mostly use this on like my T-zone because that's kind of where most of my texture is, but like just generally like the T-zone area, you know, wherever on my face I feel like I need it. But yeah, my forehead is like so bad. It's very, very bumpy right now. Like I feel like my skin, like from far away, I think it looks relatively clear. Like it doesn't look that much worse than it normally does. But up close, I have a lot of really bad like under the skin bumps, and not that like a primer is gonna fix that. You know, makeup can't be skincare. It can't do what skincare does. But I do like a smoothing primer. Next, I'm gonna go in with my Rare Beauty concealer. This I've been using non-stop and I have been loving it. This is just such a good concealer. It literally does not crease like at all under my eyes. Normally I have that problem. I have a lot of lines just around my eyes, and so normally like I can't use anything without it creasing, which I feel like is true for most people unless you have like perfect skin, but this barely creases. I generally prefer to spot conceal. I feel like generally my skin is okay enough that I can get away with spot concealing and still my skin will look kind of smoothed out and even in terms of like color and texture. I kind of feel like though I keep adding like more and more concealer each time I spot conceal, that at this point it's like I'm probably just like, you know, doing foundation but just with concealer. So I kind of want to try like the Rare Beauty foundation so I can just like dot it on the same way I would spot conceal. But I feel like, I don't know, sometimes I don't like the feeling of like a liquid foundation on my skin. I feel like even if it's like a low coverage one, those I feel like you can still feel the texture because then those will be more glowy maybe if it's like a tinted moisturizer or dewy and it won't set. Sometimes I just don't like the feeling of a lot of makeup on my face, and I feel like if I can get away with just concealer, I will, and that's why I purchased the Fenty Beauty concealer, not concealer, the powder. I'm adding a little bit more of this concealer, just dotting it on my little acne. I wanted it because like I'm not like necessarily a powder foundation person. I've never really tried it before, but basically how I do my base on an everyday basis, like if I'm not going to an event or something like that, I will spot conceal and just set my face. I've played around with like tinted versus translucent versus loose versus pressed powders, just anything to set the face. And so that's kind of why I wanted to try the foundation, because my makeup routine is normally I will spot conceal and then I'll set my face. I figured a powder foundation would kind of fit nicely into that base routine while adding a little bit more coverage, because I don't know, sometimes like you do just want that extra coverage, and I figured like I thought, you know, I could build this up more to be more of a foundation like coverage, or I could just dust it really lightly all over the skin to just be more of like a setting powder. But I have the shade 150, which looks like this, although I feel like nothing comes up on my camera true to color, so I feel like, you know, how helpful was that? Not at all. But this foundation, I guess I'll talk about it a little bit before I use it. I have really, really been enjoying this. When I apply it to the skin, it really smooths out the skin. It gives kind of a satin matte finish. I have pretty normal skin. It makes my skin look a little bit more matte than it normally does, but it still looks like skin. It still looks like a texture and a finish that like my skin could conceivably be. It doesn't look powdery at all. So I really like it for that reason. I was a little bit worried that this is gonna look powdery. I don't mind having a matte finish. I don't mind if my skin looks matte, but I really don't like my skin to look cakey or powdery, and this doesn't. It looks very, very natural. It's kind of a thin texture. It's not powdery at all. It feels very like pressed in there, so there's no kickback. It feels very thin, but it feels very smooth, which I think is a good texture for this type of thing. And another thing that I really, really enjoy about this is that the texture and the finish stays the same throughout the day. I feel like often if I wear a foundation, the finish or the texture of that product will change throughout the day. And normally I don't mind that. Like I said, I'm okay with a more matte foundation. And part of the reason why is because since I have normal skin, like I said, to combination, it can sometimes get oilier in some areas, like the natural oils of my skin. As the foundation kind of wears, those oils in my natural skin will kind of seep through and it will create a glowing effect by the end of the day. Or, your makeup just looks, worn in, lived in, which is totally normal. This doesn't do that. It looks the same as applied at the beginning of the day versus the end of the day, which I like. I don't like, obviously, the finish of your makeup isn't gonna look exact from first application to the end of the day. Again, you can't expect that, obviously. But it is nice to know that the texture and the finish of this stays the same throughout the day, and it feels very light on the skin. It feels very lightweight, again, because the powder itself is very thin, and it doesn't transfer. I like knowing that, if I, touch my face to my shirt, or if I touch my face to my hands or whatever, I feel like I touch my face a lot. I know that this is not going to transfer onto my skin, which is really, really nice. I haven't worn it under a mask, but I would imagine there would be minimal transfer, which is good. I think if you like powders, you would like this. If you're somebody that you never set your face with powder, like that's just not your vibe, I feel like this isn't something that would convert you to be a powder person. As somebody who was maybe more of a skeptic of a powder foundation, but still used powders to set my makeup, this has given me an appreciation for this type of powder foundation type of category. But anyway, I believe that was basically all of my talking points, so now I'll just apply it. As of now, since I got this only a few days ago, I've just been using my IT Cosmetics foundation brush. This is the Full Coverage Complexion brush, number 77. It's the most dense brush I have in my collection. I don't know if this is for powder products. I believe this is only for liquid. So I feel like I probably should purchase a different brush that's designed for like powders, like coverage powders. But I feel like why spend money if I don't need to? So that's, yeah, I feel like I'm gonna try and have this brush really work for me and use it the best I can. And if it really, I'm not liking how this brush performs with a powder foundation, I will purchase something else. But as of now, this works good enough. And I'm just kind of doing a mixture of like stamping the product and swirling it in. It's pretty like light to medium coverage. I think the biggest like visible change that I notice is the texture of my skin. It definitely makes my skin look a little bit more smooth, a little bit more evened out, and just again that kind of satin matte, soft matte but still skin-like texture, which I really like. And it really doesn't look like I have any makeup on the skin. It really doesn't have a powdery texture at all. So I am really enjoying this. Okay, so I think that's really all I want to apply with this. And now I'm just gonna move on to blush and highlight. I'm just using powder products, which is, I would say, I probably use powders 60% of the times and creams 40% of the time, maybe 70-30. But I'm just using this Patrick Ta blush just because it's a good like everyday blush. If anyone has like mid-range to high-end like powder blush recommendations from like trendier brands that are perhaps, you know, I feel like all brands, there's something wrong with them, but more ethical in comparison to some of the other brands in the market, please let me know. I feel like I'm always in the market for like a good everyday, you know, powder blush. So yeah, I feel like I look crazy. Like my hair is getting all in the way of my makeup. Okay, I feel like for every day, I will just take this, you know, giant fluffy brush and just kind of go wild with the blush placement. I'm not trying to be super like placing the blush in a way that's flattering to my face or placing it strategically. You know, I'm just trying to like give kind of some life back to the face. Now I'm using my Becca highlighter in, what shade do I have? It's in Moonstone, which, I mean, I'm trying not to support like Estee Lauder owned brands right now, but I've had this for a while and I'm just trying to use it up. And I mean, it is a pretty highlighter. So if you already have it, this is your reminder to dig out your Becca highlighter from your collection. But if you don't already have it, you're not missing out on anything crazy. Because, you know, everyone, why am I like giving you like the lowdown on Becca highlighters? Like everyone and their mother know how Becca highlighters, what they are, blah, blah, blah. Okay, now I'm just gonna prime my eyes with the Milani eye primer. I think perhaps maybe I should not have filmed this with my hair down. Normally when I'm doing this type of look, I will like just a very light wash of, you know, brown just for some dimension and, you know, something shimmery on the lid. And normally I will use one of 3 products to achieve this look. I'll either do ColourPop Ritz if I'm like really in a hurry or just really don't want to do anything, or I'll use the Kaleidos Sashimi City palette if I want to be a little more actual and have a little bit more of an eye-catching look. Or kind of a middle ground would be this Kaja Bento box in the shade Chocolate Dahlia, which is what I'll be using, because out of those 3, I believe this is the only one I haven't used on my channel yet. So this palette is basically like, remember the first third of the Naked palette? Like the original Urban Decay Naked palette, the first like third that everyone was obsessed with. Those 2 matte browns, that one color, I think it was called like Sin, like that champagne-y color. This is basically that. This is basically that matte brown, that first one. And then this matte brown is a little bit deeper and a little bit more neutral than the second matte brown in the Naked palette. This is amazing. This is perfect. This is so, so good for like an everyday, very basic, no guesswork, neutral eye look. So I'm just taking that middle brown shade on a fluffy brush in the crease. Sometimes I'll find this brown in the crease to be a little too light. Sometimes it's perfect. I guess I'll deepen it up with this darker brown just for demonstration purposes, but I don't always necessarily do this. But the dark brown, it like actually shears out like very easily. I don't know why I'm like reviewing this. Like, does anyone care? This was supposed to be more about the Fenty product, the foundation, but yeah, I'm just like using the same brush because again, for a 10-minute makeup routine, I'm not gonna be changing my brushes. And I also like don't really care, like I'm not looking to be super precise with this. I just want a little bit of depth. I want it to look like I tried, you know, solid B+, A- for effort. One of those like B+ / A-, like what is that? Like which one? There's a very, very big difference between a B+ and A-. Can't just hit him with that slash. Okay, I feel like I'm taking way too long to blend out this eyeshadow. Normally it would take me like 2 seconds, but I guess I like to zone out and blend eyeshadow. So now I'm gonna take this little champagne shade and just pop it on the lid. I don't really care about the inner corner highlight. But then other times I'll just take my highlighter and just use that in the inner corner, which is what I'm gonna do today. That's what that looks like. I feel like that did make a difference. Now I guess I probably should do this again for demonstration purposes. I will take either, again, the brown shade, or I guess they're both brown. I'll take either the lighter brown or the darker brown, just with a pencil brush to just drag it along my lower lash line. Sometimes I do this, sometimes I don't. No rhyme or reason for when I do versus when I don't. Today I'm doing it. Clearly. I'm taking this darker brown very, very lightly, just on the outer third of the eye, because why the heck not? All that's really left is mascara, brows, and lip balm, or lip whatever I decide to wear that day, because it changes. And this is my L'Oreal Lash Paradise. I just like have so many tubes of this for some reason that I'm just trying to use up. I don't love this mascara. It's kind of too wet, so it transfers, so I can't apply it on my lower lash line, which I'm pretty sure I've mentioned before. Okay, now for brow gel. I mean, this is, obviously it's brow gel, it's very quick, but I feel like this is how I always do my brows. Like, no matter what type of look I'm doing, I'll always just do a brow gel, just because, I don't know, I like the shape of my brows. I think, you know, it's not like I have any sparse areas, it's just that my brow hairs just look a little too light, and I just want a little bit of color and tint, so I'll just really quickly do this. And that's that. For lips, I'm like really not a big lip product person. I pick my lips a lot, so there's kind of like no point for me to put product on them if I'm just gonna be picking at them all day, which I feel like my logic should be flipped. Like, oh, well, let me put lip product on so I'll think not to pick them. But you know what? Nobody's perfect. Sorry about it. And also, if I'm wearing a mask, I'm not gonna put a lip product on. But today I'm gonna put tinted lip balm, Vaseline. I just have this. I don't know. I feel like it's not amazing when it comes to lip balm. I like my First Aid Beauty one. That's my favorite. But this is what is right in front of me. And I hate applying it with a finger. I hate the fact that I had to apply it with a finger on camera. That was humiliating. That was so degrading. Why did I do that? All right, so that definitely took me way more than 10 minutes to film, but this is my 10-minute, very quick and simple makeup routine for when I want to try, but also don't want to try. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you subscribe, stick around, leave a comment, leave a like. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day, and I hope that I see you in the next one. Bye.